Hello, everybody. My name is Richard Luby. I am the head of career services with Code Platoon. We are in our second season of Service to Success, our podcast really focusing in on the military community as a whole, and specifically dedicated to showcasing resources and advocacy needs around that community during their transition and supporting them afterwards. Code Platoon is a military community coding boot camp, specifically within focus in technology, but this is not a running commercial. This season will not be Code Platoon heavy. I hope not. I'm actually going to challenge myself not to say the words Code Platoon over and over. And so to get away from Code Platoon and provide some resources around this community, we invited some guests, and I'm really excited to say that we have a strong guest with us and a guest who's going to talk about their own experiences. And the topic itself is the transition within the community, specifically for military spouse. Maria Reed is here, a proud military spouse of 20 years, a mother of two, a filmmaker, interior designer, an advocate for military families. She's a Cuban immigrant, an executive producer, a creator of the series Moving with the Military, and co-founder and CEO of Inspire Up Foundation. As the creative, inspired, fearless leader of Moving with the Military, Maria created the popular series to honor military families with surprise home makeovers. Moving with the Military is driven by the true emotion, the real life needs of the military families. With every episode, Maria brings the love, touch that proves home is truly where the heart is. As she puts it, home is where the military actually sends us. So I read that poorly, but I read it and it excites me. You have so many different labels, and I think you would do a better justice introducing yourself. So, Maria, further ado.
Well, thank you very much for having me today. I really do appreciate it. And after hearing that, I feel like a chameleon.
Yeah, I feel like I need to get more jobs, is what I feel like.
So many different careers in my life, and partly due to being a military spouse,
Yeah.
because you moved at that next spot and you got to figure it out. Sometimes it's reinvention. Whatever you had as a career before, like I started out in the film industry. And then I met my husband, who was a service member, thinking I could still do that. We have kids. You can stay home sometimes. And he's like, have you talked to the Army? Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. So I gave up my career as a filmmaker and became a teacher, interestingly enough, in computer science. I was a coding teacher. And then
By the way,
through
I don't even think we talked about that in the pre-call. I didn't even remember hearing that.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Yeah, I was a computer science teacher, taught high school.
Oh, that's funny.
And I also taught television and film production, which was my passion and my career before. And then talking with my students and telling them what I wanted to do about creating a TV show. At least they were listening, because they said exactly to me the same words I had been saying to them for years, which was, you have a cell phone in your hand and things like YouTube, you can self produce and self broadcast. They were right. So we did. We created Moving with the Military, and we honor military families with home makeovers. And through that, I was awarded the 2019 Army Spouse of the Year. And through that program, I met other military spouses who had won for their branches. We became friends and created the Inspire Up Foundation, supporting veteran and military families. So it's like a snowball effect of all of the different
Yeah,
things.
there's I already had notes and questions to ask you, but now I feel like I'm writing question A, B, C, and D. And side note, I'll send you my headshots after this because I'm trying to be famous one day.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for my album to drop. But anyways,
Okay. Got you.
so for the topic around transitioning out of the military, and that goes to say not just the veterans themselves, but the spouse. You serve as well, and so do their dependents and their children. So I'm curious, specifically when you were talking about shifting careers and mindsets. So many people have mentioned to me that they're waiting for their significant other to retire, and then they'll focus in on what they need to do. But they really think it's important just to wait because they don't know what's going to happen. What do you say to that?
I have heard that so much, and I disagree with
Okay.
the waiting, because how I feel is that you wait, you wait, you wait. You don't know what you want to do. And then they transition out. And then you're trying at that point to figure it out.
Hmm.
You've wasted all this time because you've got the time while they're in service that you can go back to school if you want to. Is it going to be easy? No. I went back to college with two littles under 3 years old. It was not the opportune time to go. Of course not. But I had to go. I felt driven to finish. And I knew that I would be telling our kids to go to college, to get their education, to follow their dreams, and felt like a hypocrite if I didn't have mine. So
Interesting.
was it the greatest time to do it? No. Did I get it done? Yes.
And you bring up something that I hear all the time, and in my own life, I'm for certain things, it's not the right time, it's not the right time. But is there ever truly the right time?
No, there's never going to be the perfect time. So I firmly believe do everything that you can while your spouse is in service so that when when he or she is transitioning out and you're kind of transitioning too because you're
Hmm.
back to a civilian life, you are prepared. You have some of the prerequisites necessary for whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's start your own business or get back into the workforce. And I really believe that you need to start while they're in. And I did. That's exactly what I did because I saw in 8 years, he's going to retire. That retirement felt like so far away. Well, now he's been retired a little over 30 days. And if I wouldn't have done what I did 8 years ago, we wouldn't be where we are now at the transition point.
Congrats to your husband and you.
Thank you.
And also, time does fly. We were just talking about Biggie Smalls and Tupac before we hit record, and that
Yep.
felt like yesterday when I was trying to, do some dance battle moves. What's up, kitty cat? What's the name?
This is Soup.
Hey, Soup.
Hi, it's my daughter's cat. Always. I knew he was going to get in the shot. There you go.
So time does fly, all right. And the next question kind of funnels into this. Yeah, okay, you're right. We got to start sooner than later. Easier said than done in the sense for a lot of people who they're putting things on hold. And truthfully, maybe one of the main reasons is they don't really know what they want to do. So how do they identify? Where do they go?
Okay, so there's a couple of things that I really like to utilize on your military one source. It's free for active duty families. Get on there, militaryOneSource.com. There are so many resources that can help you identify what you want to do. I'm just to give you a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Just give you a lot of pointers, a lot of different direction. But sometimes we feel overwhelmed when there's too much stuff.
Hmm.
Wow, there's everything. Where do I go? I actually like something called, it's the Gallup Strength Finders, if I said that correctly, Gallup Strength Finders. I took the test. It is not a free test. It's about $60, but it is one of the most amazing tests. I don't like any of the other ones because I feel like what they tell you is everything that's wrong with you. The Strength Finders test tells you everything that you're naturally good at. It's the 34 things that make you up or make up you. And it puts things in the perspective of this is your strength, not your weakness. My number one is ideation. Number one, I come up with ideas. People used to tell me all the time, that's awful. That's terrible. You just come up with all these ideas. But actually, it's my strength. And how it really helps you is to identify what you're good at, what you naturally like, so that you can start looking at careers that will play into your strengths and help you work in teams. Because you don't want a team where everyone has the same strength because
Yeah.
no one's going to do the other stuff. You want a team where everyone's strengths are complementary.
I like that suggestion, but I have not used this, but I'm curious because I've taken other tests like that. It's almost like you go to they tell you your fortune, and I'm like, I think of somebody who had a name with a J. I have somebody named J, or they give you a breakdown and it's not specific or detailed. Do they give you enough detail to make it seem like, okay, wow, this truly is me?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, I thought it was one of the best tests because after you take the test, then they send you this report that breaks it all down
Oh,
on how these can benefit you.
okay.
And that to me was just that clinched it. And on top of it, I've had my family take the test and understand how we relate to each other. how to understand, oh, that's why they do what they do. And instead of being argumentative, this is how we can work together. So it was very fascinating to be able to take that test. And I actually took it through. Oftentimes I think, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think there are some military organizations that offer it for free.
Oh,
But I will
actually,
have to get you
I
that
was gonna,
resource.
yeah, please do, because when we do upload this and share this recording, we'd love to add obviously your bio, your pick, and other resources that you might mention.
Sure, sure.
So let's say we take that test, we understand the strengths and the characteristics that make up us. Um, are there other avenues that you would recommend somebody to try to help identify not only, okay, this is what makes me up, but how do I go forward? Let's say I want to go into advertising. Let's say I want to go into social services. What do you recommend they do?
Okay, so there are, you may figure out what you want to do, but now to get into that, you need education.
Yeah.
How, and you find yourself as a military family and you're saying, I don't have the money to go. My CAA offers tuition, paid tuition for military spouses to be able to go back to school. And recently this was released. It was Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. I was actually on the plane with him when this was released, that all enlisted spouses, E1 all the way through E9, can utilize. It used to stop, I think, at like E5 or below. If you were above that, you could not use the education benefit of my CAA, but now you can. And it also to a certain officer spouses level. I don't know what that level is, but enlisted, all enlisted ranks, this is money to go back to school, to get that certificate, to get that degree that you need. That is crucial. So
Yeah.
now you kind of know what you want to do. You want to figure out this education component and you have that money. Utilize those resources. Absolutely. Now finding the job, maybe you figure out what you want to do. You've got the degree, you are ready to get into the workforce. I do believe that there is an organization called Instant Teams, which
Instant
was
teams.
Instant Teams. It was founded and created by military spouses specifically for military families, spouses, and dependents to find work, and predominantly remote work, work that we can take with us regardless of where the military sends us.
This is phenomenal. And so we know that there are resources, but like you said, there's a lot of information. So I like that you're breaking down and picking a few things that our listeners could say, all right, I could at least look into this and
Yeah.
take it chunk by chunk or step by step. By the way, I did catch your humble brag about being on the plane with him. I'll have you know that I went to Ashley Simpson's album release party in New York City.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well done.
I was a huge Nick Lachey fan back in the day. Anyways, so they look at these resources, they start to identify, and I would say, based on what you're saying, and I think we share this, is you got to at least take the leap. We can come up with 1,000 excuses not to go. That reminds me of that I have to go to the gym and I'm probably not going to go today. But at least we make the effort, we utilize these resources. I'm getting to a question, I promise. The question is this. So we have all these resources. Our listeners say, okay, it's there, but do I really need it? Should I use it? I use an example as the listeners. I have cerebral palsy. I have a noticeable limp when I walk. I could easily get a parking pass to park closer to businesses and things like that. But I say, no, there's other people that really need that more than me. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yes, absolutely. We we see it all the time with our makeover series. We honor veteran and military families with surprise home makeovers, and it never fails. Every family that we reach out to and say, you've been nominated for a makeover. Here, we would love to give this to you. The first response usually is, isn't there somebody else that's more deserving? Someone else could use this more than I could. We want it. I think it's like in our DNA. We want to give it to someone else because we don't, like, why us? And I think the answer should be, why not us? Like, yes, okay, thank you. Thank you for seeing that. Say the thank you, and that's okay. So these resources exist to help support you, to help give you a foundation for success. They want to set you up for success. Utilize it. Utilize it, because when your spouse is out, transition, there really isn't anything for the military spouse.
You
It's
know,
like,
go ahead.
and then you move on.
Yeah, and I think of it this way. If you can't help yourself, how can you be there to help others? And so
Yes.
take that resource, leverage it to your best of your ability, and then you could help those other people that might be in similar shoes.
Absolutely. Maybe you want to create, a business and you want to be able to donate some of the funds and your proceeds back into the military community. But if you don't start the business, you can't do what your heart wants you to do to help, donate back. It's like a little cycle here. So you've got to take that leap and say, okay, I can do this. And is it easy? No, it's not. I don't think anything worth doing is easy,
Yeah.
but take the steps. Take the steps. If you want to start your own business, maybe working for someone else is definitely not for you, but you want to start a business. There's the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, AMSI. There's a lot of great mentors and information within that organization that can help you, number one, decide if this is a good fit. Like, is starting your own business at this time something for you? And if it is, there's so many great resources. So there is help and support out there, and I definitely think they should utilize it. It's there for you.
Yeah, and you earned it.
Mhm.
The family as a whole earned it. You mentioned roughly about 8 years ago. I'm not sticking to that, but you mentioned about 8 years ago, you're like, I need to make moves here. And so I look at it, somebody that recently was laid off, they talk about networking, right? For the job. Networking is a long sales cycle. And the end goal might not be for this specific job. You're building a network for later on. So how long did it take you to start getting those wins?
Oh, well, there's so many times that I wanted to quit because it felt like it's not happening or it's not happening fast enough. It's not happening on my timetable.
Hmm.
And you've got to be persistent. You've got to stay with it. It takes time. It depends on what you're going to do. Us jumping into creating a TV show, basically going head to head with big networks, and we're the little guy way over here. We're tiny. It's a lot. It still is. We're
Yeah.
still the little guy. The little fish in the big pond. But you have to stay with it. You have to be persistent. You can't give up because you're going to hear a lot of no before you hear yes. And that's okay. I don't think of no as no forever. I think as it's a no right now.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of people who just are uncomfortable with the situation, putting themselves out there, and whether it's networking face to face or just putting yourself out there to change your situation by yourself, when you hear that first no, that's an easy way to be like, see, I need to stop. And I love that you mentioned that.
The best line I ever heard, it was, I don't want to call line, the best advice I ever heard was from another military spouse, and I've never forgotten it. I think she said it about almost 20 years ago. She said, you need to get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable.
Get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable.
And that made, at that moment, that was just like an aha moment to me because, yeah, the life of a military family is a lot of uncomfort. But if you sit in, oh, this is so bad, this is so awful, we have to move again, I can't believe this is happening, you're just finding the negative. Okay, so we're uncomfortable. What do we do? Let's figure it out. We're going to be okay with being uncomfortable. Instead of finding the problem, let's go ahead and find some solutions and work through it.
All right, let's wrap these last two questions up.
Sure.
The first question was around specifically, should I start now? I should wait. No, we make action, make
Make
moves,
action. Okay.
process.
My second, what did we say? My strength, my second is activation. Ideation is number one, activation is number two. Make it happen.
Was it really, or are you just prompting this for this call? It was really,
It really is.
oh, interesting. Okay.
I will send you my scorecard
Yeah,
so you can
yeah.
see it.
Listeners, I'm calling BS on this. We'll wait to see the results. And then the second one was to make sure that for the listeners to understand that it's okay. I'm actually losing my mind here. What was the second one? I'm going blank here. I'm looking at my notes. Start or oh, there it is. Starting earlier is getting yourself going. My apologies. I had my notes all mixed up. So we at least make moves. We start early. And then what advice do you have somebody for uncertainty of where to go and how to start? So we're starting, and then you're telling them, education was that second component.
So sometimes when we think about going to school and you start with a major and then you change your major, and then maybe you change your major again, and it happens all the time. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind. You may have thought this was the right direction to go in, but it turns out that it wasn't, and you pivot. Pivoting is okay. I don't know why we see it as, oh, it's so wrong. You didn't stay on that course. It
You
may not have been the right course or the right time.
First off, you made me feel really good because I went so long to get my 4-year degree. Should have a doctorate next to my name, and I don't. But I actually think from my own perspective, we're conditioned from a society to say, oh, this is what success is. This is what it looks like. And if you are not meeting with what your peers supposedly are doing, you feel like you're failing. And so maybe that's a little bit of that mindset.
I did not get my college degree until I turned almost 40.
See?
And that's okay. That was my path. I was a mom with toddlers when I went back to school. And that's fine. That was my path. So we don't have to follow exactly what somebody else did. Like a lot of military spouses think, I have to wait till he gets out and then it's my turn. No, you don't. You don't have
Yeah.
to. Now, some people may want to, and that works for them. And that's okay. Whatever works for you. But I knew with 8 years left in his career that I had to do something that was going to set me up and set up our whole family for when he retired. And here we are. Now, both of us, he's just coming on to Moving with the Military as the co-host. So that's going to be fun.
Nice.
We just did our first makeover together, which has been very interesting. So yeah, good times.
Relationships and work. You let us know how that goes.
It will be fine. We have our differences. He definitely that we did our shopping the first time, and I realized at that moment, wow, we do not have the same taste at all. And
That
that's
might be
okay.
good for your guests and the people you're serving, though, too.
Yes.
Awesome.
It makes for fun video.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the last question I have is, let's say the listeners are like, you know what? You're right. Hopefully, we're making people take action.
Yes.
But I hear this all the time. No matter what industry, what person you are, military veteran, military spouse, or dependents, and outside the military, we all have transferable skills, but a lot of people have a hard time identifying what they bring to the table, and they might have that imposter syndrome. Like, I want to go into this role. Yeah, I got studied up, but I don't really have any experiences that mesh with this. I say that's not true. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. There are so many. When you think about, I was just a mom, and yeah, I ran the house and the kids, and I got them to school. I'm like, okay, there's a lot of transferable skills right there. And then there are also free sources on military installations that can help you write your resumes and take those transferable skills and put them to paper. Like, this is what this looks like, and this is how we can put that into the workforce. Utilize again those free resources. I believe the USO helps with that. They have a whole transition program. It's called Pathfinder through the USO, and it's a free program that helps you take your skills. Because think about it. I remember when my husband got out the first time. So he got out of the military and did the civilian thing for a few years and then came back into the military. When he got out, he had an interview with a company, and it was like, well, I know how to kick in doors and blow stuff up. How do you transfer that to a resume? There is ways to do that.
Yeah.
I want families, especially active duty families, utilize those free resources to help you.
Well, these 3 questions are questions that not only that I had, but I know listeners have. And there's tons of people that don't raise their hands, and finally somebody raises their hands and they're like, "Oh, wow, I definitely wanted to ask that." So we hope, and I actually know that listeners will be getting something out of that. Before we close, I'd like to just ask you, would you mind if anybody wanted to get a hold of you, how would they go about doing that?
So there's a few ways through social media on Facebook, Instagram, even through my LinkedIn, TikTok. Moving with the Military is all of them. I think LinkedIn, though, is me, Maria Mendez Reed. And feel free, ask the questions. Reach out, send a private message, a DM, and if you've got further questions and if I can help or get you to the resource that can help, I will.
And before we close, this is a commercial not for Code Platoon, but for you, moving with the military. Where can we see it? Where can we find it?
Well, I tell everyone first to go to vetstreamtv.com because it is a streaming network that was started by retired Marines. I always like to support veteran-owned businesses first, so please go there. It's also available on all the socials, Facebook, YouTube, like I told my students, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's also available on Apple TV and Roku.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I hope this isn't just the first time we're talking.
I hope it is not. I hope we continue the conversations. Thank you for having me today.
You have a great day.
You too.